Hello, and welcome back to Measuring Learner Data and Assessment. This is Week 5, Lecture 2. Does assessment have to be present in order to measure learner data? The title of this course, Measuring Learner Data and Assessment, makes it clear that the two are connected. But do they need to be? Last week, we spent a fair amount of time looking at the influx of technology into the world of education and assessment. As part of that discussion, we looked briefly at the idea of learning analytics, and I asked if the rise of learning analytics through technology spells the death knell of traditional assessment. This lecture seeks to delve a bit further into the question surrounding that argument. Does assessment have to be present in order to measure learner data? Traditional arguments for assessment. As we've discussed in depth throughout our time together, assessment exists to prove achievement of our goals. To assess is to provide quantifiable proof to all stakeholders, students, administration, and families, as well as ourselves, that our instruction was sound and that measurable learning centered around agreed-upon standards actually took place. It shows students that their time wasn't wasted and that they've moved forward in their time in our class, in addition to providing them with a sense of self-worth and accomplishment that is easily demonstrated. It shows administration that their teachers are not only doing what they were hired to do, but they are doing it in a way that falls in line with the currently prescribed best practices and goals of the school, district, state, and nation. And it provides families with an easily understandable piece of evidence that their students are participating, engaging, and learning at this institution that their tax dollars are paying for. So we have a number of arguments and perspectives that tell us exactly what assessment does and why we continue to assess. But as the world, society, and education change, a question arises that bears discussion, if not answering. Does assessment still matter? The easy answer is, of course. Assessment goes hand in hand with data, and we know that data matters. It follows that if one is integral, then the other must be as well. But let's take some time and break the question down further. What are the pros of continuing to use assessment in its current incarnation? And what are the cons? First, the pros. As already mentioned, a lot of the pros surround accountability. Students are held accountable by their teachers and families through their performance on assessments. Teachers are held accountable for their teaching, ostensibly, through their students' performance on assessments. Administrators are held accountable to the district through their teachers' and students' performance on assessments, and states are held accountable to the federal government through assessment performance. Other positives or pros for keeping assessment the same as it currently is can be seen in the argument of expectation. All stakeholders, students, teachers, admin, families, understand the current system of assessment so expectations are clear. All interested parties know what they are getting into when it comes to education and schooling, and assessment is the end result of that. The extension of this is the perceived importance of assessment to employers. They went through the same or similar schooling, so their understanding of the abilities of their prospective employees is supported by assessment data that is the same or similar to data they produced on their own assessments. Lastly, and probably most importantly, the biggest positive argument for keeping assessment the same as it currently is that there doesn't seem to be any better way to succinctly and clearly determine whether or not authentic learning has taken place. So what are the cons? Education is being seen more and more as an individual endeavor, as opposed to the group mentality with which it was previously viewed. It is a common argument, if we as educators are supposed to know our students as individuals, cater to their individual needs, and differentiate our instruction to better fit their needs, why would a standardized assessment be of any value? If they're all different, why do they take the same test in the same way, for the most part, at the same time? If this questioning trend continues and is acted upon, assessment as it is currently used will become outdated. We are seeing this trend already, as was previously discussed, with the increasing reliance on individual learning analytics being incorporated in a lot of educational technology. The idea here is that assessment as it is currently seen was the best possible system for data gathering given the constraints of the system and time that it was developed. Technology is allowing us more freedom in that regard, and so assessment might not be as responsive as it could be. This lecture probably brings up more questions than it does answers. Are assessment and data inexorably intertwined? Can we effectively measure learner data without engaging in assessment? Do the positive aspects of assessment stretch beyond simply measuring learner data? All are fascinating questions, and all bear further focused discussion. For now, let us leave it at this. Assessment as it stands serves the purpose of gathering learner data. It is our job to make sure that that job is being done in the most effective way for all involved.